Welcome to Ninja Rules. There are 5 simple concepts we're going to cover today. Know your enemy, choose the right weapon, plan your attack, execute with grace, and finally, don't screw up. With these rules, you could be on your way to professional success. Rule number 1, know your enemy. The first step towards enlightenment is knowing that you are your own worst enemy. Recognizing limitations of your own perception and how best to understand the position of others is really the place to start. To master this rule, you must understand context, the long-lost art of listening, and rapid in-the-moment gap analysis in order to help you begin to understand the perspective of others and frame for the optimal outcome. So you need to prepare strategically before you communicate. Know yourself. Understand what it is you want to say, why you want to say it, what is your goal or optimal outcome, and what is motivating you to send this message. Understand the fight and the context. Analyze the situational variables. Understand the audience, their needs and expectations. So, who is this message going to? What types of variables are going to impact how they receive the message? And then what about the situation? What's going to then impact how they understand and listen to you? Make sure that you then attack from the right angle. You frame your approach for the audience purpose and context. And then forecast information so that the audience knows what to expect and isn't taken by surprise. Rule number 2, choose the right weapon. Now, different battles require different weapons. And having a good idea of what's in the arsenal and how to use it is key to your survival. Consider the impact of the rapidly shrinking world around you and the byproducts of the information economy and the ever-accelerating communication-based transaction on which your livelihood will depend. In a world where time is money and Google is king, your best weapon is accurate, relevant information framed to drive the conversation forward. Make sure you include logical, sufficient, relevant information. Take inventory. Consider the research you've done. What levers and evidence do you have to persuade your audience? Make sure you select for accuracy and focus this information to address the audience needs and their concerns. Counter any resistance they have. If you know they're not going to agree with you, make sure you present evidence and ideas that demonstrate alignment and counter their ideas. Finally, inspect for flaws. Make sure that your ideas and evidence are consistent and relevant to the strategic approach you've outlined. Rule number 3, plan your attack. Of course, no flaming arrow ever took down the enemy fortress without skill and a smart plan. Mastery of rule number 3 involves the implementation of strategy by using patterns and information sequencing to build your case. Language and culture influence our neural thought patterns. So make sure that you understand what your audience expects, the patterns, the rules they're looking for, and when to break them. Structure your information for optimal flow. Consider what worked in the past, establish patterns and frameworks, and determine your approach before you begin writing. Make sure you adapt to the situation and place information strategically to advance your message. If you've got to make a request from a hostile audience, don't come straight out with a question right away. Develop alignment, provide reasoning, and then make your request. Or, for example, if you know the message is going to be received positively, just simply ask straight out. And make sure that you cover all your bases. Once you've organized your message, plan and review for coherence and connection. Nothing is worse than not being understood. Step 4, execute with grace. Performance is key, and if you can't pull it off with style, don't be surprised if no one remembers a thing you said. Sadly, or rather predictably, only 7% of an overall impression at a first meeting is based on words you say. 93% is based on how you say it and the body language you use. This means that if you can't execute in a way that's accessible and memorable, you better get your game on pretty quick. No one wants to listen to a message that isn't simple, honest, engaging, and concrete. So deliver information accessibly with focus and fluidity. Understand the relationships and connections in the room among audience members, presenters, and even between ideas. For visuals, focus attention using CRAP: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. Contrast is the difference between bold and light. Repetition, using a similar design to indicate connection. Alignment is where you place things on the page or the slide. And proximity is putting ideas that are similar near to each other to help focus attention. In interpersonal communication, use honest signals. Mirror speech patterns and nonverbal. Indicate interest through energy level. Indicate focus and thought through fluidity of language. Finally, close the gap and connect. Use proximity, open posture, gesture, and intent to connect and engage. Do it authentically. Rule number 5, don't screw up. No, seriously, you can't. But we all do. And it's okay, because we learn a lot from our failures. But you can prepare yourself for success by recognizing where your weaknesses are and having a backup plan to counter them, so that when you do trip up, you can just hop back on that pony and ride. Understand the different types of error interference. Remember that becoming a ninja master this semester is completely in your reach. The ninja rules line up with our standards in this class. If you know your enemy, you're going to do well at critical thinking, which is identifying the audience, purpose, context, frame, and strategy of a message. If you choose your weapons right, you're going to get your reasoning right. You're going to have good logical discourse, an identifiable claim, idea integrity, and relevant evidence. If you plan your attack, you'll have good structural coherence. The whole message will make sense and flow through transitions, language use, internal logic, section integrity. If you execute with grace, you're going to have good information design. The information will be accessible, your delivery will be professional in the visual, verbal, and non-verbal arenas. And finally, you'll learn to avoid disruptive, credibility, etiquette, and accent errors by knowing where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are. So good luck this semester.